My name is Lena, and I am 32 years old, and I live in the heart of New York City in the United States of America, where the pavement always feels hot and the noise never really stops for anyone. For the last several years, I have been the primary employee at a small family-owned driving school located in a corner of the city that feels like it has been forgotten by time itself. Being 32 in New York City usually means you are supposed to be climbing some corporate ladder or at least having brunch on the weekends. But my life was mostly spent sitting behind a cramped metal desk or riding in the passenger seat of a car with a student who did not know the difference between the brake and the gas pedal. I worked for a man who I will call the owner, and he was the kind of person who treated his business like a hobby he only wanted to participate in when things were going well. The owner was hardly ever there, which meant that I was the one who kept the lights on, and the phones ringing, and the instructors scheduled, and the students from losing their minds when they failed their road tests for the third time in a row. I was the only full-time employee in the entire building, and I worked about 3 times as much as anyone else on the payroll. The other employees were all much older than me, and they were mostly retired people who just wanted to get out of the house for a few hours a week to earn some extra pocket money for their grandchildren. They were nice people, but they did not want the stress of running the place, and they certainly did not want to work more than 15 hours a week. That left everything else to me. My world was a constant cycle of answering the telephone and filing paperwork for the Department of Motor Vehicles, and dealing with angry parents who thought their children were the best drivers in the world despite hitting 3 traffic cones during their first lesson. I was the backbone of that office, and I knew it, but I do not think the owner ever truly realized it, or if he did, he just did not care enough to say thank you. My schedule was the biggest problem of all. Because I was the only person there 5 days a week, the owner felt like he could move my hours around however he wanted without even asking me first. I would show up on a Monday expecting to leave at 5 in the evening, only to find out that he had booked a late-night classroom session that I had to stay for, which meant I would not get home until 10 at night. When I would try to speak up for myself and tell him that I had plans or that I was exhausted, he would just give me this fake smile and say the words that I grew to hate more than anything else in the world. He would look me right in the eye and say, we are not trying to screw you over, right, as if saying it out loud made it true. He never apologized for the late nights or the missed lunches or the way he treated my time like it belonged to him and not to me. I felt like a ghost in my own life, just watching the days go by while I sat in that dusty office with the flickering lights and the smell of old coffee. By the time summer rolled around this year, I was burnt out in a way that I cannot even fully describe with words. My brain felt like it was made of static, and my body was always heavy with a kind of tiredness that sleep could not fix. I realized that I had not taken a real break in over 2 years, and I knew that if I did not get away from that office for a while, I was going to snap. I decided to ask for a 3-week vacation during the middle of the summer. I wanted to go somewhere where I could not hear sirens or car horns and where nobody would ask me about their driver license status. This was not an unusual request in our office, because the owner himself had taken 2 separate 3-week vacations already that year, and he had approved similar long breaks for the part-time employees over the years I had been there. I figured that since I was the one doing all the heavy lifting, I had earned a bit of grace. I walked into his office one morning with my heart beating fast because I knew he was not going to like it, but I did not expect what happened next. I told him I needed 3 weeks off in July, and his face changed instantly from a neutral mask to one of total annoyance. He told me absolutely not. He looked at me like I was being selfish and told me that taking a vacation in the middle of the summer would completely screw him over and back up the entire business for months. He said that if I wanted that much time off, I would have to wait until the end of the year in December when things were slower. I felt a cold knot of anger start to form in my stomach as I listened to him talk. He was telling me that the business would fall apart without me for 3 weeks, which was basically an admission that I was doing everything. But instead of rewarding me for that, he was punishing me for it. It got under my skin that the person who puts the most effort into making sure the business stays afloat gets the worst treatment of all. I thought about all the times I had stayed late, and all the times I had fixed his mistakes, and all the times I had covered for him when he wanted to go golfing or take his own vacations. I decided right then that I was not going to just cave in like I usually did. I looked at him, and I said, "Well, boss, to be honest, I do not think I can wait that long for a vacation. I am already super burnt out, and I would probably just quit before getting to the end of the year if I do not get a break." I was trying to be honest with him about my mental state, but he did not take it as a cry for help. He took it as a threat. His eyes narrowed, and he just stared at me for a long time without saying a single word. From that moment on, the atmosphere in the office turned toxic. For the next few days, the owner completely ignored me. He would walk right past my desk without saying hello, and if he had to be in the office at the same time as me, he would leave without saying goodbye. It was the kind of petty behavior you expect from a middle school student and not a grown man who owns a business in New York City. I tried to be the bigger person for a while, and I eventually asked him if he was mad at me over our conversation about the vacation. He just snapped back with a short no, but he said it in a way that made it very clear he was actually furious. I realized then that I did not deserve to be treated like a criminal just for wanting to take a break from a job that was draining the life out of me. I admitted to myself that saying I would probably quit might not have been the best way to handle it, but I was just so tired, and I needed him to understand how serious I was. When I realized he was never going to understand, and that he was only going to make my life more miserable, I decided to give him exactly what he was afraid of. I walked into his office and handed him my 2-week notice. I told him that I was done, and that I would be leaving the company in 14 days. Even then, I wanted to be professional, because I liked our clients, and I did not want to leave the instructors in a bad spot without any warning. I figured 2 weeks was enough time for him to start looking for someone else, or at least to figure out how to do the filing himself. But the owner did not appreciate the gesture. For the next few days, he barely spoke a word to me, and when he did, it was only to give me more work to do before I left. The final straw came on a Tuesday afternoon. The owner was trying to push a very heavy cart filled with supplies out to the street where the driving school cars were parked. The cart was wobbling, and it looked like it was about to tip over and spill everything onto the sidewalk. I saw him struggling from the window, and even though I was already planning on leaving, I still had a sense of loyalty and helpfulness in me. I ran over and opened the heavy glass door for him so he could push the cart through without having to stop. I held the door open and waited for him to pass, and I even offered a small smile to show that I was still willing to be helpful until my last day. He pushed the cart past me and did not even look at me. He did not say thank you, and he did not acknowledge that I was standing there at all. He just grunted and kept going like I was a piece of furniture that happened to be in his way. That was it for me. The disrespect was so heavy I could feel it in my lungs. I let the door swing shut, and I walked back to my desk and grabbed my purse and my coat. I looked at him as he came back toward the building, and I told him that I was quitting right now. I told him that I was not going to stay for the rest of my 2 weeks, and that I was done being treated like garbage. I thought he might try to apologize or ask me to stay, but instead he just got even angrier. He decided in his anger to force me off the property right then and there. He stood over me while I was grabbing my personal things from my desk like a stapler I had bought myself and a picture of my family. He followed me closely as I moved through the office, and I felt like a criminal being escorted by the police out of a crime scene. It was humiliating and unnecessary, but I kept my head high. As I reached the front door, he looked at me with a really sarcastic sneer on his face, and he said, "Well, looks like you get your vacation now." I did not even give him the satisfaction of a response. I just walked out into the bright New York City sunshine, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders that I had been carrying for years. I realized that by trying to avoid a 3-week vacation, where he would have had to work a little harder, he had ended up losing his only full-time worker permanently. Now he was in a much worse position than if he had just said yes to my request. His options were all terrible for him. He had been trying to hire new employees for years, but the job did not pay enough for the amount of stress it caused, and nobody was interested in working there. He could try to make the older part-time employees work extra hours, but I knew they would refuse because they valued their free time more than the money. That left him with only one choice, which was to work all of my hours himself. I knew he would hate that more than anything because he had spent years avoiding the actual work of the business. He hated answering the phones, and he hated dealing with the paperwork, and he definitely hated working 40 hours a week. It was going to be a very long and very brutal summer for him in that hot office. The best part of the whole situation was how the other employees reacted. Even though they knew they were going to end up with more work and more stress, they all reached out to me to tell me they were going to miss me. They called me and sent me text messages saying that they wished me the best in life, and they told me specifically not to blame myself for the extra hours they were going to have to work. They told me they did not blame me at all because they had seen how poorly I had been treated for a long time. Every single one of them told me that the company was lucky to have someone like me who was willing to put in those long hours, and they said they did not know how I had stayed sane for so long while doing everything myself. It felt good to know that I was not crazy and that other people saw the truth of the situation. The only person who was an asshole to me the entire time was the boss himself, and now he was the one who had to deal with the consequences of his own pride and his own laziness. I am now enjoying my 3-week vacation, and I am doing it without a single worry in the world. I have spent my time sleeping in and walking through Central Park, and actually enjoying the city I live in for the first time in years. I heard from one of my old coworkers that the office is a total disaster right now. The phone is constantly ringing, and the boss is falling behind on all the paperwork because he does not know how the filing system works. He has had to cancel several lessons because he could not get the schedule right, and he is getting yelled at by parents every single day. It sounds like exactly what he deserves. I do feel a little bit bad for my old coworkers because I know they are suffering, but as they told me themselves, I had to do what was best for me. You cannot stay at a miserable job forever when your bosses just walk all over you and treat you like you do not matter. I learned a valuable lesson through all of this, which is that your time is the most valuable thing you have, and you should never give it to someone who does not respect it. If you allow people to screw you over, they will keep doing it until you have nothing left to give. I am 32 years old, and I feel like I am finally starting my life over again. I am looking for a new job now, and I am making sure to ask about the company culture and how they handle vacations before I sign anything. I want to work somewhere where a 3-week break after 2 years of hard work is seen as a reasonable request and not a personal attack on the owner. The boss thought he was being powerful by saying no to me, but in the end, he only showed me how much power I actually had. Without me, that business is just a building with some old cars and a lot of angry customers. I hope he enjoys his summer in that office because I am certainly enjoying mine out here in the world. It is funny how things work out sometimes and how a person's greed can lead to their own downfall. He wanted to save himself a little bit of trouble in July, and instead he created a mountain of trouble for himself that might last for the rest of the year. I am glad I stood my ground, and I am glad I walked away when I did. Life is too short to spend it held hostage by a small family business that does not even treat you like family. I am sitting in a coffee shop right now as I write this, and for the first time in a long time, I do not have to check my watch or worry about a phone call from a grumpy boss. I have my freedom, and that is the best revenge of all. The boss might have thought he was being clever with his sarcastic comment about my vacation, but he was right about one thing. I do have my vacation now, and it is the best one I have ever had because I never have to go back to that place again. I can almost picture him right now sitting at that metal desk, surrounded by piles of paper, and blinking at a computer screen he does not understand how to use. I can almost hear the phone ringing in the background while he tries to explain to a frustrated parent why their son cannot take his road test this week. It brings a smile to my face to know that he is finally experiencing a small fraction of the stress that I carried for him for years. He will learn eventually that you cannot treat people like tools and expect them to stay sharp forever. Tools break and people leave, and eventually you are left all alone with nothing but your own bad attitude to keep you company. I am moving on to better things, and I am never going to let anyone treat me like that again. New York City is a big place, and there are plenty of people who will appreciate a hard worker who knows how to keep things running smoothly. I am excited for the future, and I am excited to see where I go next. To anyone else out there who is feeling burnt out and unappreciated, I want to say that it is okay to walk away. You do not owe your life to a job that does not value you. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to just stop holding the door open for people who will not even say thank you. It might feel scary to quit without a plan, but your mental health is worth more than any paycheck. I am the living proof that there is life after a bad job and that the sun still shines even when you do not have a schedule to follow. I am going to finish my coffee now and take a long walk by the river, and I am not going to think about driving schools or road tests or angry bosses for the rest of the day. My vacation is just beginning, and I plan to enjoy every single second of it. I hope the owner of that driving school finds a way to manage his business, but I also hope he learns that he cannot treat people like they are disposable. Because when you throw away the person who does everything, you eventually find out that you are left with nothing at all. And that is a lesson that I think he is learning the hard way right about now. I am happy, and I am free, and I am Lena, and I am finally taking care of myself first. That is the end of my story, but it feels like the beginning of a much better one. I am looking at the people walking by on the street, and I see so many of them looking stressed and tired just like I was, and I want to tell them all that it is okay to take a break. It is okay to demand respect. It is okay to walk out of the door and never look back. Because once you do, you realize that the world is a much bigger and much kinder place than that small office ever let you believe. I am going to make the most of my 32nd year of life, and I am going to find a place where I am treated like a human being and not just a machine that processes paperwork. The boss can have his driving school and his heavy carts and his sarcastic comments, but he can no longer have my time. That belongs to me now, and I am never giving it away for free again. It is a good feeling to be in control of your own destiny, and I plan to stay in the driver's seat from now on. No pun intended, of course. I am done with all of that for good. I am just a woman in New York City with 3 weeks of sunshine ahead of her and a whole lot of peace in her heart. And really, that is all I ever wanted in the first place. I think about my old coworkers sometimes, and I hope they are doing okay, but I also know that they are adults and they can make their own choices just like I did. Maybe my leaving will give them the courage to stand up for themselves too. Maybe the whole business will have to change the way it treats people if it wants to survive the summer. Or maybe it will just crumble into dust and be replaced by something better. Either way, it is not my problem anymore. I have closed that chapter of my book, and I am starting a new one today. The air in New York City feels a little bit fresher today, and the noise of the traffic sounds a little bit more like music than a headache. I am going to live my life on my own terms now, and that is a victory that nobody can take away from me. I hope everyone who reads this finds the strength to do the same if they are in a situation that makes them unhappy. You deserve to be happy, and you deserve to be respected, and you deserve to take a 3-week vacation whenever you need one. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise, and do not let anyone screw you over while telling you that they are not trying to do exactly that. You know the truth, and you have the power to change your life whenever you want to. I did it, and I have never felt better. Now I am going to enjoy the rest of my day in the most beautiful city in the world, and I am going to do it with a smile on my face. Goodbye to the driving school, and goodbye to the boss who did not know what he had until it was gone. I am moving on to bigger and better things, and I am not looking back. The future is bright, and I am ready for it. I am Lena, and I am finally free. It took 32 years and a lot of hard work, but I am finally exactly where I am supposed to be. And that place is anywhere I want to be, as long as it is not behind that metal desk in that dusty office ever again. The city is waiting for me, and I am not going to keep it waiting any longer. I have a whole world to see and a whole life to live, and I am starting right now. Every step I take away from that office is a step toward the person I was always meant to be. I am stronger than I thought I was, and I am braver than I ever imagined. I am going to be just fine, and I think I might even be more than fine. I think I might be great. And that is the best ending I could have ever asked for. I am going to walk down to the park now and just sit on a bench and watch the trees blow in the wind, and I am not going to feel guilty about it for even a single second. Because I earned this, and I deserve this, and I am finally allowed to just be me. And that is enough. That is more than enough. It is everything. I am breathing deeply and feeling the sun on my skin and knowing that I made the right choice. My revenge was not about being mean or hurting anyone, but about choosing myself over a person who did not care about me. And in the end, that is the most powerful thing anyone can do. I am happy, and I am at peace, and I am finally on vacation for real this time. The boss can keep his sarcastic remarks and his empty office because I have something much better. I have my life back, and I am never letting it go again. This is my story, and I am proud of how it turned out. I hope it inspires someone else to take a stand and choose their own happiness over a job that takes everything and gives nothing back. Be brave and be strong, and remember that you are the most important person in your own life. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise, and do not let them take away your joy. You are worth more than any job, and you deserve to be treated with kindness and respect every single day. I am going to live by that from now on, and I think my life is going to be pretty wonderful because of it. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you have a beautiful day in your own corner of the world, wherever that may be. I know I am going to have a beautiful day in mine. New York City is a great place to be when you are finally free to enjoy it, and I am definitely going to enjoy it. Every single minute of it. Forever, or at least for the next 3 weeks and then for the rest of my life after that. The possibilities are endless and I am ready to explore them all. This is Lena signing off and going out to live her best life. And I hope you do the same, because you deserve it just as much as I do. And I think we both know that is the truth. So go out there and be happy and do not let anyone screw you over. You have the power and you have the choice. Choose yourself every single time. It is the best decision you will ever make. I know it was for me, and I am never going to regret it. Not for a single second. I am free and I am happy and I am finally on vacation. And it feels amazing, truly amazing. And that is all I have to say about that. The rest of my story is still being written and I cannot wait to see what happens next. But I know one thing for sure. It is going to be a lot better than the last chapter. And that is all that matters. I am going to go now and enjoy the sunshine and the fresh air and the feeling of not having anywhere I have to be. It is a good feeling, the best feeling in the world. And it is all mine, just mine. And I am going to keep it that way for as long as I can, because I am worth it. And so are you. Never forget that. Never. Because once you do that is when they start trying to screw you over. And we already know how that ends. It ends with you walking out the door and never looking back. And that is exactly what I did. And I am so glad I did. It was the best thing I ever did for myself. And I would do it again in a heartbeat, without hesitation. Because I matter, and my time matters, and my happiness matters, and yours does too. So take care of yourself and be your own hero. I did and I have never been happier. This is the end of the line for my old life and the beginning of the road for my new one. And it is a beautiful road. I can see it stretching out ahead of me and it looks wonderful. I am going to walk it with my head held high and a smile on my face. And I am never going to look back, not even once, because the view ahead is so much better than the one behind me, and I am ready to see where it leads. I am ready for everything. I am Lena and I am free. And that is the best revenge of all. The boss can have his driving school, but I have my soul. And that is a trade I would make any day of the week, especially on a beautiful summer day in New York City. The city is mine today and I am going to make the most of it. I am going to live and I am going to laugh and I am going to be happy. And that is the best way to live. Do not let anyone take that away from you. Ever. Stand your ground and be yourself and the rest will fall into place. I am proof of that. And I am so happy to be here, right now, in this moment. Free and happy and at peace. And that is my story. It is a long one, but it is a good one. And it is mine, all mine. I am going to go now and just be Lena for a while, without any titles or schedules or bosses, just Lena. And that is more than enough for me. It is everything. Goodbye for real this time, and I hope you found something in my story that helps you in yours. Be well and be happy, and always remember to take your vacation. You earned it, and you deserve it. I know I did. And I am enjoying every single second of it. Every single one. It is a beautiful life when you finally decide to live it for yourself. And I am finally doing exactly that. And I have never felt better. Not in all my 32 years. I am happy. I am free. I am me. And that is the best revenge I could ever have. The end, or maybe just the beginning. I think I like that better. The beginning of a whole new me, and I cannot wait to meet her. She seems like she is going to be a lot of fun. And she definitely knows how to take a vacation. That is for sure. I am going now to find her and I think she is waiting for me in the sunshine. See you there, I hope. Because it is a great place to be, truly great. And it is waiting for you too. Just walk through the door and do not look back. You will be glad you did. I know I am, every single day. Forever and always, the end, real this time, goodbye.